Hey, Nelson, alcoholic addict. That's not my real name. I use a pen name here at LOL Sober. Um, I had like a little bit of a spiritual experience the other night at a meeting, and it's very much like a duh kind of aha moment. But I'll tell you about it anyway. I was at a meeting and we read from a very prominent piece of recovery literature in which the fourth step is discussed, and the exact passage was resentment is the number one offender. It destroys more alcoholics than anything else. I've read that passage 100 times, maybe more than 100 times, and it just never quite dawned on me how direct and powerful that is. Our literature, which I love our literature, um, and it is specifically telling me that resentments are at the very, very top of the heap of potholes that alcoholics and addicts step in. And like I said, you're probably going like, duh, that's like, you hear that all the time. And I get that. But it didn't ever completely sink in my brain how direct it was, that this is number one. Um, our literature is amazing. It's oftentimes very gentle, in my opinion. It's a lot of suggestion based things and possibilities and potential solutions, rather than flat out this is how it is. But in this, that's not the case here, and I love that. It really helped me that night. It helped me to think that I can work on 1,000 different parts of my life and my sobriety, but I need to have an incredible radar focused on resentments. And I love the fourth step. I have an amazing relationship with the fourth step. In my recovery, and I'm only speaking of my recovery here, I think the first step is the most important thing that I've ever done, but I also think that the fourth step has been my MVP for the past 12 years. It just relieves so much pressure when I'm upset about something to sit with it and really tap into what it's where it's coming from and what my role is in that resentment. And I'll give you a common example from my life. It happens like once every couple of days. It'll be the evening and my kids will be doing something and I'll start barking at them, and I'll spot myself right away that I'm overreacting. My 6-year-old might be, acting like a 6-year-old. And when I spend a couple of minutes sort of feeling where that's coming from, I often find that I can trace it back to like a crappy email from 15 minutes earlier, or a thing that my wife and I are disagreeing about, and that my irritation then comes out sideways and I point it in the direction of my 6-year-old. And so my part in that is that I need to spot it immediately and try to avoid barking at my kid, because it's misdirected and it's not fair to my daughter. And I always think about this one stretch in my life about 5 years ago. I was really butting heads with some colleagues, and it wasn't a one-time thing. It was a build-up over a long period of time, and these resentments were deep. And I just thought in the middle of workday one time that I'll duck out, take a couple deep breaths, and I'll go just smash some Taco Bell for lunch. Because don't 4 tacos and a quesadilla always make everything better? So on my way there, I called a close recovery friend, and he suggested that I do a mini fourth step. And by mini, he meant spend 2 minutes with a pen and paper and actually write out what was going on. And so I got my tacos and my quesadilla, and I sat down, and I realized I was riled up to the point where I just didn't even have an appetite anymore. And so I flipped over that Taco Bell receipt, and I did the mini fourth step that he had recommended. I'd say it took me maybe 5 minutes, maybe 4 minutes to run through everything. And at the end, I felt like maybe 75% of the pressure had disappeared. It just let the air out of a couple of these resentments. And it helped me to see where I was at fault, where I was taking, there's things where I take a minor thing and I turn it into a big thing. And then sometimes I'll be justifiably bothered by other people's bad behavior, and I'll respond with bad behaviors of my own. That is a big, big one for me. That if someone acts like a jerk, sometimes I think I have the freedom to act like one too, and I don't. Not a good solution. So I called my recovery friend, and I did a mini fifth step then, where we ran through the big takeaways from that back of the receipt work that I had done. And we had a good chuckle, you know. I felt better, and guess what? My appetite came back. So, you know, rest in peace, 4 tacos and quesadillas. I smashed those things. And I went back to the office feeling like a new man. A disgustingly overstuffed taco man with fire sauce on his chin, but a new man nonetheless. Thanks for letting me share.